Hello and welcome to the talk. I am Danish Manzoor, and today we are going to talk about something very, very important. Two issues which usually dominate India's news scene. One, the coronavirus, the pandemic at this moment, and second, the Congress and the BJP. I have with me a guest who has been in the Congress for a very long time, claims that he has the Congress DNA and he wants to stick to Congress despite what happened in the recent past, and is also a coronavirus survivor. He fought it and he came out of it. Welcome, Sanjay Jha. How are you?
Danish, wonderful to be on your show, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation.
Sanjay, a double whammy, right? You were able to beat the coronavirus that everybody is so scared of. And then what happened with the Congress party, them asking you, them relieving you of your position of the spokesperson. But let's first delve deep into the coronavirus part of it. What happened? How did you contract it? Because a lot of people at this moment in this country are really worried about this, and genuinely so. And nobody really knows what exactly goes on. So you've been through it, you've lived through it, and let's just hear from you how it happened and how did you take the news and all of it.
Danish, to be frank, all of us were taking maximum precautions because, end of day, we knew we were dealing with this unknown, uh, unheard of, sinister, monstrous stuff. And therefore, the usual protocol, hand sanitizers, masks, social distancing, ensuring that if anything came into the house, it was cleansed in the proper manner. Like everybody else, we were all extremely cautious, circumspect, if not altogether paranoid. Yet it happened. So everyone practically asked me the same question: How do you think did you get the infection? And I'm telling you, you ask this of anybody who's got COVID, and they will tell you we have no clue, because I think it is so contagious, Danish, that it probably has a knack of finding itself through some nook or corner. A little time you may have just momentarily lowered your mask, or you washed your hand but not enough. Maybe somebody around you who was asymptomatic, and you thought that it was perfectly cool, and there you were, down with the COVID. uh, End of day, I think I was lucky in a great number of ways, because it was called as asymptomatic to mild symptomatic. So my doctor actually told me at the very beginning, you're going to be in home quarantine. You'll take some basic, the medication for 5 or 6 days. Of course, you'll have to take a lot of vitamins, warm water, take rest. Basically, home quarantine is nothing but solitary confinement at home, where you talk to your family on video calls and you see your dog barking on the other side, but you're not allowed to play with the guy. You can't. He wags his tail, and my dog came to the door and he looked at me like, why aren't you petting me? Why aren't you calling me into the room? Are you insane, master? And I was like, man, I am. And in fact, let me kind of protect you from this character at the moment. So it's in a great number of ways. It also gives you an opportunity to kind of, during the quarantine, to do your own self-discovery, if I can use that term. You contemplate your life. You have to bring up all your spiritual strength to live in your own house in kind of utter loneliness. But I think we implemented that very stringently at home. My wife is the boss, and she
So
made sure that I
how
wasn't
difficult
gallivanting around.
how difficult is it? It's easier said than done, but it's your family, right? How do you stay away from your family, especially in our Indian families? We're very closely knit, right? So how difficult is it to maintain or sort of isolate yourself within your own home?
Well, let's go the positive side. One is that you're at home. The familiar smell of the bedroom. Your bathroom is the same. You can hear your family in animated conversation somewhere or the other. Your dog is barking in some corner, and the sights and sounds and the views are all your own. So that, in a great number of ways, is extremely comforting. uh, the tough side, yeah, I mean, that that you're not going to be stepping out of that sacrosanct boundary. It is consecrated. It's like the Lakshman Rekha. And you have to be very disciplined, in the sense that when everybody slept in the night, I could have, tried to sneak out and, get a good feel of lounging in the family room or watching television. But you take a lot of responsibility, because in the early days you are capable of infecting other people, right? So there's a lot of self responsibility there. And once you kind of recognize the fact that this is temporary, it's only 14 days, you're at home. Yes, it's a pain. I'm not going to be very macho and say it's a cool ride. It's a process of, as you said, living alone in your own home. That is a bit of a mind state that you got to kind of battle. Once you adjusted and adapted to that, I think you're cool. You can hear my dog on the other side, if you can, if your
Yeah.
audio catches that. So when you come out at the end of 14 days, you suddenly, Danish, are like, I will never take anything in my life for granted anymore. Just sitting in my own drawing room, just playing with my dog, going to the kitchen to get a glass of water, reading a newspaper, in your living room, watching
Right.
television. I think you begin to recognize one thing about life. Fortunately, I have always been like that, so maybe this transition was a little easier for me spiritually. But it does make you, Danish, longer recognize the value of things that we very often take so much for granted.
Right.
And the fact that every experience in your life is its own commentary on the beauty of what it is.
Absolutely.
And if
Absolutely. And
you
I
and
think,
if you
yeah.
yeah, and if you figure that out, I think you're well adjusted and happy.
And I think it's a story world over, right? That everybody across the world suddenly, because of the pandemic, because of the lockdown, because of people who had to go into confinement, who had to go into isolation, everybody has realized the value of the little things around us, and a lot of people turned into towards spirituality as well. Those that I know as well. Now, one other part is about. The symptoms, what you went through, the discomfort. What was that all about?
Well, fortunately, I have a great GP, and he knows me for quite a few years now. And on day one, I gave him a call, and I said, I got a slight headache. It's not strong. It's a mild kind of a headache, but it's nagging me for a while. Now he's known me for a long time that I don't get headaches. I don't have migraine and sinus and all those issues. So even if I get a cold or something, I never had a headache. So he found that extremely unusual. And then I had a very low grade temperature, and that too not for too long, just for a day or maybe a day and a half, 99, 99.2. And he said, well, that can't even be deemed as temperature, but the fact that it is a little higher than normal and making you feel a little unusual and as if there's something different, he didn't find that as a great positive sign. So I think if I were to tell your viewers as to where do you sense that something is not right, is if you feel that you don't have the normal ailments that you get, which is normally what, cold,
Right.
cough, and maybe some kind of migraine and all that kind of stuff. But if this is slightly unusual and it's causing you a discomfort that appears to be uh, a little out of the regular sync, check yourself. Because I don't think this virus is not like influenza. It's not as strong as influenza. It just has a knack of being contagious and then lingering for a while. So it may not give you the symptom of severe stress, but if it enters your system, it gives you a distinctive, uncomfortable sixth sense that there is something unusual, and that's the time when I will tell anybody: have no fear, get yourself checked. 99% you should be fine. In the event that you get COVID, well, you're at home quarantine. If you're overall fit, you go to home quarantine, you're pretty much within your regular domestic environment, which is, godsend. And just take care, just rest, be bored to death if you have to. Read books. There's only so many books you can read and how many
Yeah.
movies you can watch on your iPad. But the rest of the time, just look out, think about all the lovely people in your life, be grateful, count your blessings, and trust me, you're going to be fighting fit as a fiddle.
Sanjay, you came out of COVID and you landed yourself into another controversy. What happened with the Congress? Why couldn't your party, one of the biggest oppositions at this moment, if there is any opposition left in the country, that is, uh, ask you to step down from the position of the spokesperson? What did you do?
Danish, as I say that some of us have a knack for, kind of taking the bull by the horns. Uh, to kind of keep this succinct, uh, I am a Congress guy by my DNA. I put it out on my Twitter description today. And I do believe, and I'm saying so just with a lot of cocky confidence, and I don't think I'm misplaced. I'm more Congressy than 99% of the people in our party. I'm proud that I'm truly secular. I am a liberal. Nobody can take that away from me. I am a progressive guy. I do believe we need to be a tolerant nation. I do think India needs an inclusive model. I believe in my constitution and democracy. Now, I wrote those articles, and if you read them, both the one which I wrote in March with Salman Soos and the one which I wrote after I came out from the coronavirus, they were all written from the bottom of my heart. It's a party I care for. And I was devastated to find out that over the last 5, 6 years, we had done nothing to figure out as to why we were losing elections. There was no effort done at really getting together and figuring out what was the way forward. And 6 years, I would normally have done it 24 times during the 6 years. Once a quarter, the Congress party should have met and said, where are we headed? What are our goals for the year or the next 3 years? What are our shortfalls? What do we need to do? Funding, people, grassroots, technology, communication, leadership, CWC, elections. You got to be talking that all the time. Remember, the Congress is up against an unusual opponent. This is not the Vajpayee government. Uh, Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah have changed the political dynamics of the country. The BJP is like relentless, inexorable. They want to win every election. Mr. Shah has a mission 150, 200, 300, whatever. Now they get it most of the time. Sometimes they don't. But I think there's nothing wrong in setting up an ambitious goal. There's nothing wrong in a political party wanting to win it all. Because,
Then what
Danish,
is
the
wrong
truth is
with
in
then?
politics.
No, then what is wrong with the Congress?
So I'm coming to that. Because you see, the reason why I say that in politics, the winner takes all, right? The Congress doesn't get a silver medal for, 52 seats. Either you win or you don't. And I feel that in this environment, the Congress party has to be hungry, has to be desperate, has to be energetic, on the move. So I wrote that article out of plain, deep, um, how do you explain, excruciating pain in this constitution of mine. The Congress party, instead of trying to understand where I was coming from, giving a constructive feedback, saying, hey, have more vice presidents, supporting the president, have a shadow cabinet, make your funding transparent, elect leaders, have elections for CWC and the Congress president, sacks me as a spokesperson. I'm like, hey, what did I do? I have no problem with that because end of day, if you're a congressman, you'll keep fighting for the party. And let me put this on record with you because I've known you for a long time as well. I am not ever leaving the party, and I think the Congress party probably knows that. I think the Congress party probably knows that and says this guy is not going away anywhere. So let's fix him so that if anybody else in the Congress party has any such bizarre interests in becoming far too independent with his creative thinking, we'll tell them to pipe down. I don't think that's right. You should encourage internal democracy. In fact, I would say, a boss once told me, Danish, when you occupy a position of leadership, surround yourself with people who come and tell you what's the bad news first. Everybody will tell you, yaar, sab kuch theek thaak hai. But when somebody comes and tells you, Chief, this is not working, I think we are struggling here, this alliance partner looks fragile, you got to listen to that. And that's what I believe in, right? And I was therefore very disappointed. And I put it on record that internal democracy within the Congress needs a serious tonic. I think we need steroids to bring it back, but let's do it.
Sanjay, a lot of people keep saying that the Congress leadership operates from the silos, and there is a bunch of Congress leaders who sort of surround the top leadership, let's call them Gandhi family, and sort of keeps them misinformed and tells them all the goody things to move forward. Do you think the party leadership lives in the silos, and that is one reason why the party isn't able to listen to what the grassroots of India has to say?
Well, Danish, there is no denying that it's pretty apparent if you look at our election results in the two general Lok Sabha elections and the several states that the Congress is clearly detached at the moment with the grassroots. There is a public confidence in our party is at this point of time at an abysmal low. I was reading some surveys that said that the people of India are extremely unhappy with Mr. Modi's government on the migrant crisis, the state of the economy, handling of China, the state of the industry, overall handling of the pandemic, where India is, frankly speaking, reaching a very dangerous and alarming proportion of fears. Uh, Despite that, when they were asked, who do you still have full confidence in as a political leader? This Mr. Modi, and the BJP still is the preferred choice. That's a message for the Congress party that we are still not being seen as the alternative. And therefore, I do believe, to answer your question, that we are, it's not just two or three people. I think the party has now become into compartments. I think everybody is in silos somewhere. And as far as the leadership is concerned, they have a right to choose people they are comfortable with. I think that's pretty much normal. But you have to be having in those people those who are calling a spade, those who are telling you where maybe the writing is on the wall. And they're not kind of just feeding you the goody goody news that, we are going to be rocking it and this is the hashtag trend of the day, and that it's a matter of time before anti incumbency sets in and people just drop Mr. Modi off. I feel if the Congress party continues to delude itself that because of anti incumbency, a third time round, Mr. Modi will definitely lose in 24. I said that and I'll repeat it again. We are indeed deluding ourselves. We are living in a land of illusions, and we should not. Because the Congress is a fantastic party, it's got great organizational depth, it needs to be energized. It's got phenomenal workers, it's got a great talent. Uh, all that the party needs to do is to say, let's run, let's run and let's set goals. Let's make our organization a lot more fluid. Let's be open. Let's have more elections. Let's have a new leader, because people, I do believe, after Mr. Gandhi's quit, people want a new leader to take over. Mr. Gandhi said, I'm not coming back. He was very stubborn on that decision. Why has it taken 1 year after the defeat of 2019 that we still haven't got our act together? These are the issues we need to address.
Sanjay, now one thing. Let me play the devil's advocate over here. If I'm on the side of the Congress party, if the party sees you as the troublemaker by doing all of this, by washing the dirty linen in public, how do you respond to that?
Well, let me tell you, I mean, if I was the Congress party, and truly, if you're giving me that responsibility, I would welcome any criticism of the party, because I believe the only people who actually question you are the ones who really care for you. And if you read my article, it actually says that the Congress party is the only party that can be the bulwark against the BJP. The Congress party is the only one that can stop the authoritarian juggernaut that is the BJP. I've said the Congress party has a responsibility to reinvigorate or resurrect itself, because our future is inextricably intertwined with that of the country. Now, I don't think I can give a bigger compliment to the party I work for.
Did someone not read out that part of your article to the leadership?
Well, I would have expected the leadership to not just read the article themselves, but to give me a call. It's not that we are not accessible on telephone. We have spoken quite a few times, even in the recent past. So I think the question arises is that when I write about the fact that the Congress had a leader, and I'm very Nehruvian in my thinking, and when the Congress had Jawaharlal Nehru, who used to write scathing articles anonymously against himself as an advisory to say, guys, don't centralize power, don't become one of those autocratic rulers. Always keep in mind that you're responsible for the people that you ultimately who voted you in. That is democracy in a true sense. I do believe that the Congress has to go back to its own foundations. The Congress has to go back and revisit its own philosophy and ideology and tell itself that, listen, we manifest or mirror India's constitution. And therefore, we need to be the most democratic, secular, liberal party, not just in the country, but looking at our history in the world.
So very interesting things going within the party and outside the Congress party at this point of time, Sanjay. Amit Shah, the Home Minister, recently said that the Congress leaders are feeling suffocated within. Now we see one example of yours at this point of time, a leader who wanted to sort of talk about a change and sort of wanted the party to revisit things. Do you think there are many more like you out there in the party?
Well, let me tell you, the reason why I've been writing those articles is because I've been talking to so many people in the Congress for a very, very long time. And every time the conversation starts and ends in the same place with people saying, this is what we need to do. And, but we are hamstrung or we are stymied. There is no format for discussion. There are no platforms of engagement. And I actually, after a point, found that extremely monotonous and exasperating. I said, here are lovely, warm, brilliant adults who are seasoned politicians, some of them holding, wonderful ministerial positions in the past. And they're all sounding so low, disconsolate, and absolutely discombobulated, with the way things are. And I said, listen, we need to do something about it. Now, just by expressing your dismay or the fact that you're finding everything very disconcerting, that the party is going nowhere, it's not going to help. If you and I are two congressmen and we keep expressing our frustrations to each other, the party doesn't know that. So I said, somebody needs to step up and bell the cat. Somebody
Sanjay,
needs
who is
to.
this party? Who is this party that you refer to? Because the two people that you mentioned, for example, the people that you have been talking to, they're also part of the party. Now, which part of this party? I'm going to ask you very clearly this. Do you think that you were referring to?
Well, let me tell you, I mean, I'm not referring to two people. There must be at least 22,
So
maybe
who? So
more,
who?
maybe
So
more.
who? So who are the bigger troublemakers? See, what if Mrs. Gandhi is watching it? What if Rahul finds it on Twitter, and then if he gets her to lay his hands on his own account and then perhaps have a look at this interview, let them know.
Danish, knowing you, they will be watching it, I'm sure. And but I do want to add this point that I'm sure probably they know it better than even me, as to who are the people who are basically expressing their feelings of be feeling distraught, uh, extremely perturbed, uh, dismayed,
Right.
disheartened, disillusioned. I would say everybody is very disillusioned about the way the party is, and these are people who are people whom I respect a lot. Some of them have already been speaking pretty explicitly in the public domain, so I don't think it'll be tough for you to know who they are. But more important than the people, these are all stalwarts, veterans. Practically all of them have contested elections and won them, and many of them are, I would say, active members of parliament. And I do think that the time has come for the Congress Party to recognize that if there are 20 odd people who are, sharp, who care, who are intellectually, many of them are awesome. I mean, they're sophisticated thinkers. They're all Congress by ideology. Why would they share a collective angst at this point? Because people in the Congress are now beginning to worry that are we going to see 24 play out like 19? And Danish, please focus on this point. 1 year is gone. And as I gave an example in my write up, every day should count. We can't allow this kind of insane drift.
Sanjay, at this point of time, I think everybody would agree with me who's watching this show that any democracy needs a credible opposition and perhaps sometimes even a strong opposition for the government to be kept in check and for people's issues being pushed at the forefront. Now, let me ask you this. Come 2024, which political party in India, apart from just the Congress, do you think has something in it which could perhaps counter the massive election machinery of the Bharatiya Janata Party?
Danish, let me answer that without, in fact, even batting an eyelid. Only the Congress party can effectively neutralize or stop the BJP's dominant run. There is no other party, in my opinion, at the national level that has the wherewithal, the ideology, the programs, the experience, honestly, to stop the BJP. We have done that successfully. Don't forget, we defeated the BJP in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, and Chhattisgarh. We stopped them in Karnataka. We did a good job in Gujarat, and so on and so forth. But the other alternative has to be a Congress plus. So it will have to be a Congress UPA. And if the Congress UPA doesn't get the numbers, you have to look for a Congress UPA plus model. But I feel the Congress must set itself some very tall goals. It must tell itself that although I'm at 52 seats, the BJP was at 2, and, you know where it went. The Congress actually still has 20% vote share. So the Congress today decides to become, a well-oiled, a robust engine that is, not going to pause, but going to remorselessly march ahead, handle the problems, build a team, go out there and, be ready for every battle, be ready to be bruised if you have to. The Congress will be, in my opinion, could win 2024. But it's got to start now. And therefore, my articles, I think we already lost 1 year. There is not a day to waste.
Sanjay, the last question that I have for you is that you have been in politics for quite some time now. What is your end game personally in politics? What exactly is it that you want to do ultimately? Do you see yourself as the Prime Minister of India in future? Do you see yourself in the cabinet? What is your end game? Because don't tell me you don't have one. Everybody does.
Oh, Danish, let me tell you. A lot of people don't know. They think I made a helicopter landing into the Congress as a spokesperson in 2013. They're wrong. I actually started working for the Congress informally, not as a formal member, even around the time of February 2004, when the Congress was written off. So my journey or baptism with the Congress, if I can use that term, started when the Congress was written off in around February 2004. But the party came back to win that election against the India Shining campaign. What is my end game? My first objective is to work tirelessly and contribute in strategy, tactics, communication, social media, electioneering, whatever it takes to first win 2024 and bring constitutional democracy back into this country in a true sense. Make sure all this communal targeting of minorities is completely stopped. We go back to being the harmonious society we're going to be, we should always be, make it a more inclusive model. And if the Congress party wins and would like me to play a meaningful role, whether it's in policy making, I believe my strength is really economics. My strength is really understanding business and corporate sector. I believe I could be good in policy making. It depends upon where the Congress would like to bring me in. I'll leave it at that point to whoever is the political face. I am a very modest, unassuming character. I tell myself that my job is to give to the party. So far, I need to tell you on record, not a single time, no congressman can ever tell you today that Sanjay Jha asked for this or that. Nothing. No Lok Sabha seat, no Raj Sabha. I never asked for it over all these years. Over all these years, not even once. And I do believe I was legitimately a better candidate than many. I also want to make this point that even I never became a panelist or a national spokesperson by asking for it. The party gave it to me. I'm very grateful they gave me that opportunity, but never asked for it, ever. Even the job that I hold today, one official position of the president of All India Professional Congress, I took it up because my friend Milind Devra, who was heading the Western region, said, "You're the ideal man. You're based in Mumbai. You're ex-corporate. You're a former banker. You're the ideal man for this slot." And I therefore took it. So I have actually been a truly an ideological soldier of this party. I'm Nehruvian hardcore. I love Mahatma Gandhi's philosophy. I'm a very modern thinking guy. But I just believe that Gandhi and Nehru are titanic intellectual giants of this country and the world, honestly. And therefore, that's what I'm going to do. So that's my big ambition. Get the Congress back. We'll see what happens thereafter.
So that's your big ambition, Sanjay, and that would probably, we could qualify that as what you just said as your cover letter for within the Congress party, and your CV already lies in front of them. Let's just hope what the future holds for you and for the Congress party. Thank you very much, Sanjay, for joining me on this show today. We had a very delightful chat, and I hope that the viewers also enjoyed the show. We'll see you again next time. Till then, do take good care of yourselves. Thank you very much for joining in.